This is the factory Honda 600 axle press. It pushes the axle, drive shaft, half shaft, whatever you want to call it, out of the car. And what happens is you bolt it to the knuckle, and it uses two original caliper bolts and one 6mm bolt, and I'll show you how that bolts on. And when these were brand new back in the 80s, I bought this one, and they quickly found out that I had to weld this nut to the bottom here because this is the size of the Hawaiian 600 axles and probably the European as well, and it would not screw on to the end of the drive shaft. So I welded that on there, and these were about $100 when they came out. And it's pretty sturdy, except that after a while this plate right here bends and you got to flip it over and run it the other direction. And this one's been sitting around a long time, so it's not in the best of shape, but it still rotates. And the way to switch it from one side to the other is you have to unscrew these two studs out of the plate and then flip the plate over, because you can't use it. They should have just drilled another hole in it, and then you could have used it on either side. But they didn't. So I'm going to bolt this on, and we'll come back and show you how this works. Alright, here it is. It's all bolted on. Use a 6mm here, and the original caliper bolts on the other side. So what's going to happen is, this is upside down. This would be the bottom of the car. I clamped where the strut mounts in to the top. So then what you do is you make sure these are all tight, then crank it until the axle pushes out. Is it going anywhere? No, not yet. Here we go. And when it's on the car, you got to hold the axle up out of the way so it doesn't get stuck in the side of the engine. It'll jam into the side of the engine where you took off the drive shaft. So you just keep turning this, and it pushes the axle out. Now, I never used it to pull the axle back in. Somebody showed me once upon a time to stack up washers on here so the nut, imagine it's farther down, and you just take two screwdrivers and pry them back in. There, now it's out. Then you just unscrew it, take it off, and put it on the other side if you're taking off the other side. But you got to take this plate off, turn the plate around, and screw these into the other side of the plate. So that's one. And the other way I'm going to show you is how to do it on a hydraulic press if you don't have this tool. I don't like to do it this way with it hardly supported, but it's sitting on the back of my hydraulic press with that one bar across the front. And this is how easy they come apart with a hydraulic press. If the whole shit doesn't fall down, it would be good. And it'll just fall out on the floor if you don't catch it. I'm going to pretend like I care and catch it. Just like that. Then when you got them out, you want to look on here, preferably measure it. You can lightly clean it, but you don't want to sand it too hard because this is press fit into the bearing. That's how I get my axles out of my knuckles, is I prefer to take them off the car and do them on the hydraulic press. There's only the bottom, the knuckle, 6 bolts you got to take out anyway on the engine, and then take your seals out and take the plate off the back and put the new wheel bearings in, put it all back together. That's how you do bearings.